miracle after miracle. That's kind of what Matthew's account of and biography of Jesus' life is. And in chapter 9, well, we have chapter 9, verse 27. Okay, this is rolling out of healing a woman who'd had an issue of blood for how long? 12 years. And raising a dead girl back to life. And that happened in Capernaum. Verse 27, as Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, calling out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." I had a really dear friend who lost his vision due to diabetic retinopathy. He could see kind of shadowy figures, but he was legally blind, and he was a pastor. He loved to preach, loved to teach, and loved shepherding people. He was in a small town, and even after he lost his sight, he continued to teach and preach. He would memorize his messages. He was a good friend. And the example of his life was challenging to me. Dropped dead of a heart attack. The doctor said he was dead before he hit the ground. That was, almost 30 years ago now, 25. I still miss Gene. So I have just a little sense of what it's like for a blind person to navigate the world. In our world, he had the advantage, the blessing of, I think it was called the Society for the Blind. And they provided many tools so that navigating the world became a little, compared with this day in Jesus' life, quite some better, but still, you had to have assistance. In Jesus' day, a blind person, their lot in life was not good. In fact, most of them became beggars. I'm sure there were some who, because of their tactile awareness and the senses that had been heightened through their blindness, I'm sure they made things and, sold them. But that would have been the small minority. These guys, they followed Jesus, 2 blind men, following the crowd. How would you do that? Mainly by the sound, or getting, into the crowd and letting it pull you along. At any rate, they called out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." Well, I don't know anybody that shouldn't be calling out the same thing. I have to. Have mercy on me, Son of David. Son of David was one of Jesus' most used monikers. It was he called himself the Son of Man, and the Son of David, rather. And by them, these blind men calling him Son of David, I have the sense that this was not their first encounter with Jesus. It was not the first they had heard of him, about him, but they called out, "Have mercy." Okay, there's several things in this. First of all, mercy. Mercy and grace are very closely related, and yet not quite the same, because grace is getting what you couldn't deserve. Mercy is not getting what you deserve. And in a biblical sense, the idea of asking for mercy by these guys would have been have compassion on us, show kindness to us because of your compassion, have mercy on us. Well, when he had gone indoors, this is Jesus, the blind men came to him. I don't know how they got to him, but they managed. Let me tell you something. You know this. When you want it bad enough, you'll manage. The blind men came to him, and he asked them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" Not to make this about me, because I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about Jesus. But I have seasons where I believe in Jesus. I have faith in him. I believe he's who he said he was. I believe he did what the scriptures say he did. I believe he saved my soul. But there are days when my belief, well, it kind of leaks. You ever have that happen? Where, well, I am like the father of the boy that Jesus healed after the transfiguration, who the disciples were not able to heal the boy. And when Jesus, Peter, James, and John came down off the Mount of Transfiguration, the disciples came to him and said, they brought the boy to him. We couldn't heal him. And Jesus asked the Father, "So do you believe I can do this?" And he said, "I believe. Help me with my unbelief." This is where I find myself a lot. Well, he asked that question, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" Able, absolutely. And I'm not sure quite what to do with this, because isn't there a little bit of a difference between "I believe you're able to do this" and "I believe you will do this"? Okay. And the men replied, "Yes, Lord." In verse 29, and he touched their eyes and said, this is a key phrase, "According to your faith, it will be done to you." Which I think it has I think what he's saying is, however much you believe, that's however much you'll be healed. Now, this is a moment. Does Jesus do that with everybody he heals? Is that what he says to everybody? No. And he didn't say it to the Jairus' daughter. He didn't say anything ahead of healing the woman with the issue of blood. And on the miracles go. Sometimes Jesus asks, "Do you believe?" But this is different than saying, "So do you believe? Do you have faith in me? Do you believe I can do this?" Yep. Okay. According to your faith, it will be done to you. And this is a fabulous testimony to the faith of these two men. Verse 30, and their sight was restored. I guess they had enough faith to be healed. How much faith does that take? I don't know. I know people who have great faith in Jesus, great trust in God, who they have not been healed after many, many, maybe even thousands of asks. Okay, that's not where it ends. The second part of verse 30, Jesus warned them sternly, okay, see that no one knows about this. What? Now, we don't know if these guys were born blind or somehow became blind, the result of an accident or a disease. But the implication is this was not, their blindness was not recent. And Jesus sternly says, don't tell anybody. I'm putting myself in these blind guys' sandals for a minute and thinking, don't tell anybody. This is the most amazing thing that has happened in my entire life. Don't tell anybody. See that no one knows about this. Yikes. Well, okay. And so, what do we do about this? I don't need to be led around anymore. I don't have to just sit on the sidelines and hope that somebody will, walk me along with them. I can find a job. I can do work. I can see. Well, verse 31. This is what I would have expected. But they went out and spread the news about him all over that region. Well, yeah. Can't say I blame them. This was an actual miracle and not a parable, not just a story. These two blind men received their sight. They were healed of blindness. I think there's a little bit of a connection between their story and mine and yours. John Newton wrote about this. I once was blind, but now I see. Well, isn't that true of all of us? I was spiritually blind, but now I see. To us, Jesus does not say, now make sure nobody knows about this. Gives us full permission and even commissions us to talk about it. I think if you were raised in the church, you and I probably have a similar kind of experience, background, and in some ways hindrance. I grew up in the church. I don't remember. I don't. When I was baptized, I already had believed in Jesus from the time I could believe anything. I don't have this story of how horrible my life was and all the horrible choices I made. I made some bad choices, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I do not have a dramatic conversion story. But as boring as I think my conversion story is and the story of my life, I can easily say like these guys, I was blind, but now I can see. Well, really? As a little kid, I knew Jesus. I knew a lot about him. I wanted him to save me, so I got baptized. A little bit misguided theology in that, but it worked. I was fulfilling in obedience to Christ's command. So, but what's your conversion story? Think about it, because you have to think about it. And how would you introduce it into a conversation? This is awkward for a lot of people. But these guys, I don't think they experienced any awkwardness in introducing the fact that Jesus had healed them. Okay. There's another miracle right on the heels of this one, but I've blown past my time limit, so we'll talk about it next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.